Hello, friends. I'm Max Lucado. Welcome to Fresh Hope. I'm so glad you've joined me. I've always been inspired by the story of Joseph as told in the book of Genesis. You might remember he was betrayed by his brothers. He was sold into slavery. He was wrongfully imprisoned. He was forgotten. He was dismissed. On his darkest days, Joseph must have thought that the sun would never shine again and his life was over. But God had other plans, and he used Joseph's hardships for a greater purpose. I invite you to join me for a 4-part series based on my book, You'll Get Through This. Be encouraged, friend. I look forward to sharing some fresh hope with you. A few years ago, I ran into a member of our congregation at the grocery store. I hadn't seen her in several months. I asked her about her kids, about her husband, and when I did, her eyes watered and the story spilled out. He had left her after 20 years of marriage. She did her best to maintain her composure, but couldn't. And the produce section became a sanctuary of sorts, and we prayed. After the prayer, I said, you'll get through this. It won't be painless. It won't be quick. But God will use this mess for good. In the meantime, don't be foolish or naive. But don't despair either, because with God's help, you'll get through this. 2 days later, a friend called. He had just been fired. The dismissal was his fault, and now he's a 57-year-old unemployed manager in a rotten economy, and he needed assurance, and so I gave it. You'll get through this, I told him. It won't be painless, won't be quick, but God will use this mess for good. Now, don't be foolish or naive, but don't despair either. With God's help, you'll get through this. Audacious of me, right? Where did I get the nerve to speak such a promise? In a pit, actually. A deep, dark pit. Our story begins in Genesis chapter 37 and verses 23 through 25. And so it came to pass, when Joseph had come to his brothers, that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the tunic of many colors that was on him. Then they took him and cast him into a pit. And the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat a meal. It's an abandoned cistern. The 17-year-old boy lies at the bottom. His voice is hoarse from screaming. It's not that his brothers don't hear him. 20 years from now, when a famine has tamed their swagger and guilt has dampened their pride, they will confess, we saw the anguish of his soul when he pleaded with us, and we would not hear. Genesis 42:21. These are the great-grandsons of Abraham, the sons of Jacob. The name of Jesus will appear on their family tree. They are Scripture's equivalent to royalty, yet today they are the Bronze Age version of a dysfunctional family. They despise the boy. Genesis 37 says they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. They hated him even more. They hated him. His brothers envied him. That's verses 4 through 5, 8, and 11. Now, why? Well, their father pampered Joseph like a prized calf. Jacob had 2 wives, Leah and Rachel, but he had one love, Rachel. And when Rachel died, Jacob kept her memory alive by fawning over their son. The brothers worked all day, and Joseph played all day. They wore clothes from a secondhand store, and Jacob gave Joseph a hand-stitched, multicolored cloak. Jacob treated the 11th born like a firstborn, and the brothers spat at the sight of Joseph. They caught him far from home, 50 miles away from Daddy's protection. Verses 23 through 25. They stripped Joseph of his tunic. They took him and cast him into a pit. Those are defiant verbs. Stripped, took, cast. They wanted not only to kill Joseph, but to hide the body. Verse 20 says, we shall say, some wild beast has devoured him. Joseph didn't see this assault coming. The attack caught him off guard. So did yours. And Joseph's pit was a cistern. Yours was a diagnosis, a foster home, a traumatic injury. And Joseph was thrown into a hole and despised. You were thrown into an unemployment line and forgotten, into a divorce and betrayed. The pit. Joseph's story got worse before it got better. Abandonment led to enslavement, entrapment, and imprisonment. Yet he never gave up. Bitterness never staked its claim. He not only survived, he thrived. An Egyptian official promoted him to chief servant. The prison warden placed Joseph over the inmates, and Pharaoh, the highest ruler on the planet, chose Joseph to serve as his prime minister. By the end of his life, Joseph, the boy in the pit, was the second most powerful man of his generation, and it's not exaggeration to say he saved the world from starvation. Now, how did he flourish amid such tragedy? Well, some 40 years later, the roles were reversed. Joseph, the strong one, and his brothers, the weak ones. And they came to him in dread, and they feared he would throw them into a pit of his own making. But Joseph didn't. And in his explanation, we find his inspiration, Genesis 50 and verse 20. As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring about this present result, to preserve many people alive. In God's hands, intended evil becomes eventual good. Joseph held on to this promise. Nothing in his story glosses over the presence of evil, yet time and time again, God redeemed the pain. The torn robe became a royal one. The pit became a palace. The broken family grew old together. The axe intended to destroy God's servant strengthened him. When Joseph said, you meant evil against me, he used a Hebrew verb which traces its meaning to weave or plait. It's like he was saying, you wove evil, but God rewove it together for good. God, the master weaver. He stretches the yarn and intertwines the colors, the pains with the pleasures. He passes the shuttle back and forth. Satan weaves, but our good God reweaves, and God, the master builder. This is the meaning behind Joseph's words. God meant it for good in order to bring about. The Hebrew word for bring about is a construction term. It describes a building project like the one I drive through every morning. The state of Texas is rebuilding a highway overpass near my house, and 3 lanes have been reduced to 1. The interstate project, like human history, has been in development since before time began. Workers hold signs and shovels, and several million of us grumble. Well, at least I do. My next door neighbors have a different attitude. The husband and his wife are highway engineers and consultants to the Department of Transportation. They endure the same traffic jams as the rest of us, but they do so with a better attitude. Why? They know how these projects develop. They've actually seen the plans. By giving us stories like Joseph's, God allows us to study his plans. Brothers dumping brother, famines and family feuds, scattered about like nails in cement bags on a vacant lot. Satan's logic was sinister. Destroy the family of Abraham and destroy his seed, Jesus Christ. But the master builder cleared the debris until the chaos of Genesis 37:24, they cast him into a pit, became the triumph of Genesis 50:20, life for many people. God is master weaver, master builder. He redeemed the story of Joseph. Can't he redeem your story too? Isn't this the promise of Romans 8:28? And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. God promises to render beauty out of all things, not each thing. Now, the isolated events may be evil, but the ultimate culmination is good. We see small examples of this in our own lives. You know, when you sip on a cup of coffee and say, "Ooh, that's good," what are you saying? The plastic bag that contains the beans are good? The beans themselves are good? Hot water is good? A coffee filter is good? No, none of these. Good happens when the ingredients are worked together. The bag opened, the beans ground into powder, water heated to the right temperature. It is the collective cooperation of the elements that creates good. Now, nothing in the Bible would cause us to call a famine good, or a heart attack good, or a terrorist attack good. These are terrible calamities, all born out of a fallen earth. Yet every message in the Bible, especially the story of Joseph, compels us to believe that God will mix them with other ingredients and bring good out of them. You'll get through this. You fear you won't. We all do. Will we ever exit this pit? Yes. God gets us through stuff, through the Red Sea onto dry ground, through the wilderness. Through is a favorite word of God's. Isaiah 43:2 says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned." It won't be painless. Does God guarantee the absence of struggle? Not in this life. But he does pledge to reweave your pain for a higher purpose. It won't be quick. You know, Joseph was 17 years old when his brothers abandoned him. He was 37 when he saw them again. How long will God take with you? He may take his time. His history is redeemed not in minutes, but in lifetimes. But God will use your mess for good. We see a perfect mess. God sees a perfect chance to train, test, and teach the future prime minister. We call it Egypt, but God calls it protective custody, where the sons of Jacob can escape Canaan and multiply in peaceful abundance for 4 centuries. We see Satan's ploys, but God sees Satan tripped and foiled. Friend, you are a version of Joseph in your generation. You represent a challenge to Satan's plan, and you carry something of God within you, something the world needs. If Satan can neutralize you, he can mute your influence. The story of Joseph is in the Bible for this reason, to teach us to trust God to trump evil. What Satan intends for evil, God, the master weaver and master builder, redeems for good. Life in the pit stinks, yet for all its rottenness, doesn't the pit do this much? It forces us to look upward. Someone from up there must come down here and give us a hand. God did it for Joseph. He will do it for you. Until next time, remember, you will get through this.
You don't have to stay close. As long as you're somewhere out there, that's enough for me. I don't need to hold you near me, don't need promises to keep. Just the thought that you are breathing somewhere in this world I see. Even if I'm not beside you, even if you never know, there's a quiet kind of comfort just in knowing you still glow. I don't need forever, I just need you to exist. You don't have to stay with me, you don't have to feel the same. Just as long as you're still out there, calling softly through my days. You don't have to look my way, you don't have to be my home. It's enough to know you're living in a world I'm not alone. I won't chase you through the distance, won't disturb your chosen life. I'll just keep you in my silence, like a star that shines at night. Through the dark and through the blue, I still think of you. You don't have to stay with me, you don't have to feel the same. Just as long as you're still out there, calling softly through my days. You don't have to look my way, you don't have to be my home. It's enough to know you're living in a world I'm not alone. I don't need to be your light, I don't need to cross your mind. All I need is just the truth that you're somewhere still alive.